Sits in his cockpit lit by a screen, fly in the skies where he's never been. Twitch chat buzzing like a tower call, an 83 Fox, he's got it all. With his wings of code, his heart of flight, he's soaring high, chasing the night. Pullman A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies.
To jets, he pilots them all. A captain of pixels, he answers the call. He loops, he banks, he dives with grace. The sky's his stage, his cockpit's the place.
Turbulence shakes, alarms might scream, but he's steady as a dream. Chat throws jokes, can you stick the land? He winks and says, I've got this plan. Oh, and an A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies. Sits in his cockpit lit by a screen, fly in the skies where he's never been. Twitch chat buzzing like a tower call, an 83 Fox, he's got it all. With his wings of code, his heart of flight, he's soaring high, chasing the night. Oh man, A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies.
To jets, he pilots them all. A captain of pixels, he answers the call. He loops, he banks, he dives with grace. The sky's his stage, his cockpit's the place.
Turbulence shakes, alarms might scream, but he's steady as a dream. Chat throws jokes, can you stick the land? He winks and says, I've got this plan. Oh, and an A3 Foxtrot, master of the air, gliding through the clouds like he's really there. Joystick in hand, engines on the rise, taking us with him through virtual skies.
Hello again, everyone. Michael here with Felicity. November 8033 Fox, a Cessna flight training device that I built right here at home. I do feel like it's been a while since I've been able to say that. Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you all for your patience over my recent hiatus from streaming. There were just a lot of things that needed to happen that just kind of took away from that availability to do so. So I apologize, but I do appreciate your patience while I navigated some of that turbulence as of late. But to kind of bring you up to speed, the video card for my streaming PC decided to just die. So what I ended up doing was rehoming the GTX 1080 that was running my X-Plane Master Machine into the streaming PC that I'm talking to you on right now. So this has a new used 1080 in it. Then I replaced the 1080 that was in the Master Machine with another RTX 3090. So both Master Machine and External Visual Machine are now both running on a 24 gigabyte VRAM RTX 3090. So that's going to enable me to do a couple different things. First and foremost, if you haven't noticed, I had to do away with the rear screen. And the reason being is not so much that I needed to do away with it, but as we know, my pursuit of FAA certification, one of the criteria is that the instructor is going to have to watch the pilot, physically watch him, not necessarily through the GoPro like I stream with, but they actually need to see the pilot and the actions. So I did away with the rear screen. The benefit is increased FPS in the visual machine, because we're now running on 3 displays instead of 4. So that kind of helps out with overall performance. And now my hope, now that there's another 3090 in the mix, my hope is to be able to kind of separate and add X-Plane displays. And what I mean by that is right now, all 3 of these screens that are on the physical cockpit, they are all running on the visual machine. That's one 4K and 2 1080p monitors right now. And it works out just fine. But for those of you that might remember during my whole cockpit rebuild process, is I kind of shrunken the cockpit itself. So the windows that are there are actually about 10 inches forward of where they would be to scale. And the reason I ended up having to do that was because on the initial run, this initial version that I built, I was able to see the side windows and everything looked good, but there was this big gap between the cockpit and the front display. It was very detracting because I could actually see outside into the hangar. So I moved all of that forward to get rid of that space there that was detracting. Now, theoretically, my plan is to move that back to where it was. We'll put these windows back to where they would be according to scale and measurement. Then we're going to have that gap there again. But my theory is to take a couple additional 1080 monitors and run them portrait mode. Okay, so we'll have a left window and a right window that are 1080, and then just forward of that, to kind of make up what I would call the left side and the right side of the windscreen there. And we'll have a couple other 1080 monitors, giving me 4 total. So that in and of itself, 4 1080s is essentially 4K. So the theory is to be able to run all of those 4 displays on one video card, on what I will actually, it will be the external visual machine at that point. And then we'll move the front display, the 4K display, over to the master machine. And what that will end up theoretically doing is balancing out all of the displays. Will have 4K on one 3090, and then rendering 4K over 4 1080 displays on the other 3090. So that's kind of the plan that I have in my head, as we go forward here. But for today, I just kind of want to, get back into the cockpit, do some flying, and I figure we'll go ahead and continue on our West Coast to East Coast tour, doing leg 2. Now, on leg 1, we departed Seattle, and we went ahead and chose Mike Whiskey Hotel, which is Grant County, as our first leg, for no real underlying reason other than the fact that they did have fuel there, and it wasn't a terribly long leg from Seattle. So this is where we're at. We're on the ground here at Grant County International. Let's see here. I stand corrected. We didn't have fuel here. I thought there was, but there was not. There was fuel. There was another one I was considering, but that's neither here nor there. We're on the ground here at Grant County. We don't have any fuel access, but we still have about 3 hours of fuel remaining. So if we kind of take a look here and look at our complete overview, that's sort of what we're gonna fly. And let's just try and find a destination that's sort of along the way here. And I am going to want to get somewhere that has fuel. If we go north, there's a couple of Class Charlies, it looks like. Fairchild Air Force Base and Spokane International. And then we can go a little bit south. And we have Pullman Moscow Regional that has a beacon and fuel available. There is some gliders in the area there we would need to be kind of cautious about. And we can go a little bit further south to Class Delta of Lewiston. What is that? Pierce County, Kilo Lima Whiskey Sierra. There's no sense in going further south than we need to unless we have to. So out of curiosity, how far is Papa Uniform Whiskey from where we're at Grant County? And we can kind of do this a couple different ways here. We can kind of just measure it with the 4-flight ruler. It looks to be about 97-ish nautical miles, so that could be a nice leg to fly today. And if we were to continue along, a good leg 3 might be something like that. It's going to be a bit longer of a flight, 126 nautical miles, if we were to decide to do that one for leg 3. I think for leg 2, though, this will work out just fine. So we'll kind of rubber band down here. Kilo Papa Uniform Whiskey. And that will be our flight today. What we'll do... We'll pack for this flight, and then we'll go ahead and check the weather at both of these airports and kind of take a look at some en route stuff. I am pleased to report that let's see, Sunday last week, or no, what is it, Friday? So last Friday, I successfully completed my flight review, and also completed the basic phase of wings on the FAAsafety.gov website. So that's kind of a nice thing to be able to say that I did, and that will also allow me to save about 10% on my renter's insurance, which will hopefully enable me to fly a bit more in the real world. I mean, it's expensive no matter how you slice it, but save 10% over the course of the year on renter's insurance. That might get me another hour or two in the air. Okay, we are packed for that. See, and unfortunately, when I plan things like this and I put all these waypoints in here, ForeFlight kind of thinks that it's one flight. I don't want to brief this entire 2,400 miles. I want to brief leg 2. So I guess what I could do is, let's just go ahead and I'd like to be able to, let's see. Yeah. I would have liked to have been able to save like when I create a favorite route here in ForeFlight and I give it a name, I like to be able to just overwrite that, and it doesn't look like I can easily do that. So I'd either have to save this as a new route, but let's just go ahead. We know where we're going. We can go ahead and clear this out. Let's go KMWH. And then we're heading to Kilo Papa Uniform Whiskey. So that's 95 nautical miles. Let's go ahead and pack for this. And then, we can just kind of brief this as one flight through ForeFlight here. We're going to head east, cruising altitude. Let's go ahead and do 5,500. Yeah, we might modify that, but 5,500 might be good for terrain and, decision-making purposes should something go awry. Okay, so we got that. Let's make the time now. Then we'll go ahead and send this over to a flight. And we'll go ahead and brief this. I hope everyone's weekend has gone well so far. I want to thank you all for coming in and hanging out for a little bit today. I'm kind of anxious to get back into the cockpit there. I do want to give a quick thank you to Delta who came in with a follow to the channel while we were offline. So I appreciate that, Delta who. Look forward to flying with you at some point in time in the future. Turbulence high, air mets. Looks like there's one east of us. We're going to kind of skip over that. Surface analysis chart. Got a low pressure system. Looks like it's moving east through the state of Washington. METARs. Departure. 10-mile visibility. Winds are variable at 4 knots. Clear skies. Temperature 31, dew point 09er. Altimeter 3003. And then moving along. Our VFR en route. Clear skies, clear skies, clear skies. All at least 10-mile visibility. I'm looking for any sort of broken or overcast that would give us a ceiling, but I'm not seeing anything right now. The destination currently, winds are 300 at 5, 10-mile visibility, clear sky. 28 and 04 is the dew point, altimeter 3012. Okay, so that I don't right there. I don't see anything that would preclude me from making this flight today. These are rear-world PIREPs. We're going to kind of skip over those. It's not really going to apply to us on VATSIM. Cloud coverage. Sort of a cloud coverage map. Washington actually looks pretty clear there. Visibility, surface winds, and precipitation. We can kind of zoom in here. State of Washington, and kind of get a visual of precipitation, winds, and temperature there. That those symbols do mean things, believe it or not. The longer, so figure the wind comes, I guess it is pretty variable, but the wind starts at the top of the flag there and makes its way toward, I guess, the bottom. Each sort of a short line right here represents 5 knots, and then these longer lines represent 10. So like here we've got 15 knots of wind coming in from the west there. Terminal area forecast. This is stuff that can kind of transition as we are making our flight. And again, it all looks VFR today. Everything is in the green that I can tell. Wind chart, again, sort of a visual representation. We are going to have what appears to be a decent sized tailwind. Because again, it starts at the top of the flag, makes its way towards that black dot there. So it's going to be pushing us along, and it even kind of transitions to a bit more of a southeast push as we get closer to our destination there. Vertical cross-section chart. This is one of my most favorites in the for-flight briefing. The green represents our terrain. That's everything along the ground. That blue line, that is our flight path, including climb, cruise, and descent there. So we can kind of see as we get closer to our destination, our terrain is actually increasing. So it's reducing the amount of space we have between us and the ground. So, maybe about halfway through, we might want to consider climbing up another 2,000 feet, to give us that same margin of error, should something happen and the terrain below us. So we'll definitely want to consider that. So maybe about 7,500 feet. That might work out all right. Winds aloft at 5,500 feet is what we're filing. Winds are out of the west at 4 and 6 knots between departure and destination. It all looks relatively the same altitude-wise as far as the winds go. So there's really no benefit of going lower or higher to gain ground speed today. Departure NOTAMs, this is a lot of rear-world stuff. We're going to kind of skip over ARTCC NOTAMs. If we were to go over our new craft checklist, including NOTAMs, weather, known ATC delays, that's the K in new craft. If we wanted to find out information about known ATC delays, this would be the place to check that information out. Runway lengths and performance. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about our destination. It does have one runway, 05 and 23, so that's sort of like a northeast southwest. It is 7,100 feet long and 150 feet wide. So it is twice as long as the runway that I'm used to flying out of here at home in Morrow County. There is fuel available, Jet A Plus, and 100 low lead. So we're going to be paying a little bit more for fuel because it doesn't have MoGas there or 87 octane for those of us with unleaded fuel STCs in our 172. So fuel is going to cost us a little bit more, but virtual money is free. It does have an ILS procedure, GPS approach, VOR approach, localizer, RNAV, and RNP. So all of those procedures are available to us at Pullman Moscow Regional. Unicom 122.8, CTAF is the same. So this field is going to be uncontrolled. And we already talked about the weather there. Field elevation is 2567. Pattern is 3567, so it's a standard pattern. Looks like standard traffic as well. So yeah, I think everything looks good there. Yeah, everything looked good on that briefing there. New view that I added to the stream, to replace that rearward camera that would, show the back display, is that we've explained. Yeah, I guess it would be kind of traditional what you see on most type of simulation streams. Virtual cockpit. So I went ahead and added that. And we can see it side by side. Alright, I think we're good to go to head over or into the aircraft there. And pre-flight and walk around is already done. So we should be good to go. So thanks for coming in, and I will see you over at the plane momentarily.
Teammate is up. Mic check when ready.
Alright, everyone. Welcome aboard Felicity. My name is Michael. I will be your pilot today as we depart Grant County, Washington, and fly to Pullman Regional Kilo Papa Uniform Whiskey. So welcome aboard. We do have Shirley on board with us, our AI co-pilot. Say hello, Shirley. How are you? wonder if I forgot to enable my mic for Shirley. Oh, seem to be having a glitch with our LEDs here. Alright, let me go check my microphone here for Shirley because I don't hear her responding. Thought I had everything set to go. Alright, let's try that. Shirley, are you with me?
Shirley back in a Cessna 172F. Assistant mode enabled. Standing by at Moses Lake.
Alright, Shirley, I'm glad you're with me. It's Michael again. It'll be a pleasure to fly with you. I just want to go ahead and correct you. We are not at Moses Lake. We are at Grant County International. Well, I guess it is just a little bit north of Moses Lake, so you really weren't wrong there.
You're absolutely right, Brian. KMWH, Grant County International. It is. My mistake on being too casual with the location. Ready to fly when you are.
Okay, but I don't know where you got Brian from. My name's Michael. You know that. Who's this Brian?
Sorry, Michael. That was my mistake. Not sure where I got Brian from. Let me start fresh. Shirley with you at KMWH. Ready to assist with whatever you'd like to do today.
Alright, sounds good. We're on leg 2 of my far west coast to far east coast tour, so we'll be departing Grant County and flying to Pullman Regional. Pre-flight and walk-around's already done, so let's go ahead and see what else we have here on our checklist.
Let me check the weather at both airports for our flight to Pullman, KPUW.
Okay.
KMWH weather, clear, wind 200 at 6 knots, temperature 32, dew point 8, altimeter 30.02. Beautiful VFR conditions for our departure. Ready for your before start checklist when you are.
Wow, I really like this pen. I just bought some new pens, because those familiar with the pilot logbook, the lines are pretty small. So the smaller you can write, the better. So I found some .38 millimeter pens, and I'm giving it a shot. Okay, got the log started. MWH, okay. That one 3.1. Okay, got that started there. Okay. Alright, safety briefing real quick. We'll just go over the safety acronym. Stands for seat belts, air vents, fire extinguisher, traffic and talking, exits, and if you were to have any questions. Circuit breakers are all in, and alternate static air is off. And that moves us right along to our startup checklist. Seat track. Let me get scooted up here so I can reach the flight controls decently. Okay. Alright, let's go back just a little bit. Okay. Okay. Avionics are off. Autopilot is off. Our carb heat is off. Mixture full rich. Throttle is gonna be slight. Let's go ahead and get 3 on the primer. Slowly pull it out. Push it back in. Okay. There's 1. Slowly pull it out. Push it back in. There's 2. And then we'll slowly pull it out and push it back in. There's 3. Okay. Primer is in and locked. Okay. Master's gonna go on. Beacon's gonna go on. Okay. And mags are gonna go to start right away. I'm looking for engine RPM and oil pressure. If I don't have either of those, we'll go ahead and shut the plane down because something's going on. Alright, here we go. Clear. Clear left. Clear right. Clear front. Alright, we do have engine rotation. RPM is good there. Oil pressure's in the green. Alright, let's go ahead and get our taxi light on so that we can be seen, and that completes our startup checklist. Moving right along to our pre-taxi checklist. You know what I need to do? I need to go and turn on our X-Plane ATIS. When I connect to VATSIM, it disables the X-Plane ATIS, but we don't have any ATC coverage currently, so we need to get the weather information. So let me go enable that in the plugin. Alright, so we're good to go there. Okay, so where we're at, flaps up, seat belts, get my seat belt back on here, avionics, we'll get avionics on, bus 1, bus 2, and ATIS here.
TOS, system test OK.
119.05.
E002. Advise on initial contact. You have information whiskey. Grant County International Information Whiskey 0040 Zulu. Arriving runways 14 left, 09418. Departing runways 22, 09414 right. Wind 150 degrees 4 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 31.8. Altimeter 3002. Advise on initial contact. You have information whiskey.
Alright, I'm gonna have to listen to that again. I got some of it, not all of it, and my Apple Pencil was
Grant
dead.
County International Information Whiskey 0040 Zulu. Arriving runways 14 left, 09418. Departing runways 22, 09414 right. Wind 150 degrees 4 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 31.8. Altimeter 3002. Advise on initial contact. You have information whiskey.
Alright, 3002. Puts our field elevation right about 1,200 feet or so. 1189, so that looks good there. Okay, got some good weather information. Altimeter is set. Transponder, let's go ahead and set that to altitude reporting mode. Okay. ADS-B is tied into our 650, so that's on. Brakes will test on the roll, as well as our attitude indicator and turn coordinator. Let's go ahead and set our heading indicator to compass, though. That looks good there. We are in the CTAF frequency. Let's get parking brake on. Gonna give it a little bit of power and do a quick brake test. Alright, my brakes are good. Okay. So where are we departing from today? Departing runways are 2209er and 14 right. 14 right. 2209er. Alright, so it looks like runway 22 is going to be our departing runway. We'll go ahead and take that. It's kind of a unique looking airport, but we're going to have to cross 32 right. Okay. Let's go ahead and get over to runway 22, which is 10,000 feet long. So yeah, it's a pretty long runway. You know what, we might not even, let's see, we can do it like this. Let's do it like this. Let's take an intersection. We don't need 10,000 feet. Grant County traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. We're going to be taxiing to runway 22 via Bravo, Juliet, intersection departure Juliet 2, Grant County. Hey Shirley, did you get that? We're going to go ahead and make an intersection departure at Juliet 2 for runway 22.
Copy. Copy, Michael. Setting up for intersection departure runway 22 at Juliet 2. Let me get that waypoint configured for you.
Alright, we're heading on to Bravo now. We'll make this right onto Juliet. Then our next left-hand turn will be Juliet 2. Well, our next 90-degree left-hand turn. There's another taxiway, Juliet 1, kind of goes 45-degree down to our left. We don't want that one. We want the one that goes kind of straight across. So it's going to be the second left-hand turn. Double check our heading indicator to compass. Because it likes to drift. Okay, here's Juliet 1. Juliet 2. Looks good to me. Alright, run up. What's on our run up checklist here? brakes, fuel is on both trim. Is set for takeoff. Flight controls. Okay. It feels good. Up on the left. Down on the right. Up on the right. Okay. Free and correct there. Instruments. Nothing on the annunciator panel. Primers in and locked. Let's go at 1600 RPM. Left mag, there's about a 75 RPM drop. Let's get back to both. Right mag, looks like about a 50 RPM drop. Back to both. Okay, carb heat. Carb heat's coming on. Let's bring it all the way down to idle. Want to make sure we can stay running at our lowest RPM with that carb heat on, and that looks good there. 1500, carb heat off, bumps us up to 1600. Suction's in the green, oil pressure and oil temperature look good. We're charging, got good fuel flow. Alright, let's go ahead and idle back here. We are on CTEF. Grant County traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. We're going to be taking runway 22 at Juliet 2 for a left downwind departure, Grant County. Hey Shirley, you ready to go?
Ready for takeoff, Michael. Runway 22 at Juliet 2, left downwind departure. Quick reminder, pattern altitude will be 2,189 feet MSL. I'll monitor your pattern exit heading of 40 for downwind.
Sounds good, Shirley. I appreciate it. Let's go.
Lights on for takeoff. Airspeed alive.
22. Enter runway 04. 22.
Right, clear to the right. Clear to the left. Let's grab that center line. And ease that power in. Slow is fast. Maintain rudder for center. Airspeed's alive, we're in the green. And let's rotate. Got positive rate. Hey Shirley, confirm positive rate of climb.
Positive rate confirmed. Gear stays down. Remember to turn crosswind approaching 2,189 feet.
We don't need to go that high on our departure leg of the runway. About 700 feet AGL usually is good for me. So, slipped our left wing, looks clear. And then let's roll our crosswind. Let's keep maintain VY until we get to pattern altitude. And that looks good there. Then let's roll into a downwind right here at pattern altitude. Grant County traffic, Skyhawk HR33 Foxtrot is left downwind, 22 departing to the northeast Grant County. Yeah, I suppose we could have just departed on the crosswind, but that's alright. Okay, where's runway 22? Alright, let's go ahead and turn on course, shall we? Direct 2 is going to be 092. Of course, that was from when we hit the enter button initially. You know, if we were to do that again, it might change by a couple degrees. But as long as we apply a heading to re-intercept this line, we should be good. Alright, let's put some power in. Let's go ahead and climb up. What did we decide? 5,500 feet or so for cruise? Yeah, I think that's what we decided on. 5,500 feet. Alright, 092. Got about 91 nautical miles. I will say it's definitely a bit smoother without that rear display going. We're up at about 47 FPS currently. I typically kept it locked at 30, but I wanted to uncap it just to kind of see how it would do with the 3090 and the master machine now that both machines are on the same level playing field as far as processor and graphics card. Jet Pilot Cinnamon, thanks for coming in, my friend. Hope you're well, and for the resubscription to the channel, almost 2 years in a row. Greatly appreciated. Hope you are doing well. We're tooling around here on the West Coast, leg 2 of my West Coast to East Coast tour. We got about a 90-mile flight today, departing out of Grant County, Washington. I'm sorry to hear that. Really am. Okay, so yeah, let's go and get up to 5,500 feet, and then we'll level off. And that'll be our cruise for about 45 miles or so, and then we'll climb up 7,500 feet for terrain, and to give us more of a buffer should something happen. You know, I was going for my tarmac flight review a little over a week ago last Friday, and I realized just how much that aviation can be a perishable skill, you know, when not utilized as frequently as, you know, other, you know. And one of the things I found out is that my short field landing techniques, you know, I understand the technique, but the application needed a bit of improvement. I mean, I still made it, you know, I made the mark and I made the stopping distance. It was just not as smooth as I would have hoped. But the rest of the flying activities and flying portions, yeah, jet pilot. I'm really kind of proud to be able to say that you know, I got a phase of wings done through FAA safety, because I did strive and kind of work hard to be able to do that, and not so much on just the flying portions, but there was a lot of, you know, ground study and ground classes involved as well, to get that. But having that phase 1 of wings will enable me to, you know, save some money on my renter's insurance, which will be nice, because then I can reapply that back towards flying time. 4,600 feet, got about 900 more to go until we're at cruise. Five 5,000 feet. But the other stuff, you know, the ground reference maneuvers, you know, things like that, you know, that was all, you know, I didn't have an issue with that. Emergency procedures, I kind of, you know, it was mostly alright. There were some things that I forgot to call out, like I was going through them in my head. I kind of forgot to call them out, and then there were some other flows that should have come more, you know, more from memory. Alright, 5,500 feet, let's level off here. But all in all, I think the review went well. I mean, it was satisfactory. Passed all the flight activities, slow flight, stalls, power on and power off stalls, maneuvering during slow flight, things like that. Scotty Bob 64, hello, welcome on in. Happy Saturday indeed, thank you very much. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Alright, 80 nautical miles. We are making a ground speed of 111 knots. Looks like we're cruising along just nicely. We really don't have much of a crosswind to contend with, so we're maintaining course pretty decently. What you're looking at now is basically my front display. Basically the master X-plane display. And then we can, if we wanted to overlay it side by side. The top right, again, that's X-plane. And then of course, there's the full cockpit and the other three screens. Oh wow, I guess I need to update my chat bot. Yeah, the air show was over last month. So I guess it's been a while since I have actually been able to stream. But we will be having another air show next year. Information about that will come out, when it's available. But note to self, turn off the air show notification in Stream Elements. Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and practice a couple stalls. So let's go ahead and pull the power back to about 1600 or so. Carpeet's gonna come on, and then we'll go ahead and add some flaps. No, we're not gonna do flaps. Flaps are up. We're doing a power on stall, so this will kind of simulate, take a stall on takeoff. Okay, so alright, we're at a good rotate speed, maybe about 70 miles per hour. Looks good there. Okay, 1700. All right. Let's just go ahead and say we did our clearing turns. We're clear to the left. We were clear to the right. And alright, so we're gonna kind of slowly put that power in. We're gonna pull up on the nose here. About 20 degrees or so. our rudder. Stall's imminent, and there's the stall. Just push the nose forward, airspeed, climb back up. Okay, we'll try that one again. Bring the power back, make sure it's going to go rich. Okay. Alright, looks good there. Let's slow up just a bit more. Alright, we're straight and level. Let's ease that power in. Okay, at about 20 degrees, pitch up. Rudder. Stall's imminent. Stall's imminent. I just didn't want to brake. There's the stall. Okay. Hey Shirley, were you monitoring those power on stalls? Do you have anything that you need to add to that or want to add to that?
Those were decent power on stall recoveries, Michael. Good use of rudder control during a recovery. Just remember, keep that ball centered as you approach the stall next time. Ready to monitor more if you want to practice another. Or we can continue to Pullman.
We're going to continue, however, this time we're going to practice a power off stall. So let's go
Standing by to monitor.
Let's go ahead and configure for that. So we'll get our power to 1600, curb heat on. Alright, we're in the wide arc. Let's go ahead and grab flaps.
Monitoring power off stall setup. Carb heat on. First notch of flaps in. Airspeed in the white arc. Ready when you are.
Okay. Let's put in full flaps here. We're coming into land. We got a nice stabilized descent here. About 400 feet per minute.
Monitoring power.
Okay. Alright. There we go. Rudder, rudder. Stall is imminent. There's the stall. Get 10 degrees of flaps out, power in, curb heat off. Alright, another 10 degrees of flaps. And we'll pull those remaining flaps out. Alright, Shirley, our power off stall was complete. How was that?
Good recovery sequence, Michael. Proper order with power in first, followed by staged flap retraction. Minimal altitude loss. Ready to continue our cruise to Pullman?
Yep, we're continuing our cruise to Pullman. Alright, we're about 67 nautical miles away. Let's double check our heading indicator to compass. Let's run over through our cruise checklist. Power, mixture, and instruments. Clean out just a little bit more. Save a little bit of fuel. Heading indicator to compass. Looks good there. 16 degrees out at 5,500 feet. That's Celsius. Everything else is looking good. We're about 2,500 RPM. Hey Shirley, what can you tell me about the area that we're flying in currently?
We're flying over the Columbia Basin region of eastern Washington, a vast agricultural area shaped by ancient lava flows and the Ice Age floods. Below us are expansive wheat fields and irrigation circles, part of one of the nation's most productive farming regions. The landscape here was dramatically carved out by the Missoula floods thousands of years ago.
What can you tell me about irrigation circles? What are they? Hey Shirley, what can you tell me about irrigation circles? What are they?
Irrigation circles, also called center pivot irrigation, are those large circular crop patterns you see below. They're created by a long sprinkler system that rotates around a central pivot point, like a giant lawn sprinkler. Each circle is typically about half a mile in diameter. They're very common in this part of Washington because they're an efficient way to water crops in this semi-arid region, using water from the Columbia Basin Project.
Huh, interesting. Thank you. Uh, 58 nautical miles till we get to our destination. Making a ground speed of 107 knots. We're indicating maybe 110 miles per hour, which is about 95 knots or so. So we got about a 10 to 12 knot tailwind currently helping us along. really need to look into the legal ways to play some music while we're streaming. And bring some music into the cockpit. Hey Shirley, do you know any good aviation jokes?
Here's one for you, Michael. What did the pilot say when he saw a UFO? Nothing. He was on an unidentified flying object. Badumts. But surely you've heard that one before. And don't call me Shirley. Want another one while we cruise along with this nice tailwind?
Oh, sure, give me another one. Why not?
Why don't pilots like shopping at Walmart? Because everything is at ground prices checks instruments. Speaking of prices, we're burning less fuel with this nice tailwind pushing us to Pullman. About 58 miles to go.
Alright, Shirley, no more jokes for you today.
Roger that, Michael. Back to monitoring our flight to Pullman. Your carb heat is still on from those stalls. Might want to get that off now that we're back in cruise.
You might want to double check that, Shirley. Carb heat is on.
Apologies, Michael. You're right. I see carb heat is at 100% hot, not off. My mistake on that call out.
Suppose we should double check that our autopilot's working after all of the recent surgeries that the plane has had. Altitude 5500. Put it on a heading hold. Seems to be working there. Alright, autopilot's got altitude control. Autopilot's got heading control. Alright, I'm gonna test a couple things. Hey Shirley, go ahead and set our autopilot heading to a heading of 150.
Setting heading bug to 150 degrees magnetic.
Try that. Hey Shirley, try that again. It didn't get. Hey Shirley, try setting the heading bug to 150 degrees.
Setting heading bug to 150 degrees magnetic. I'm having trouble with the autopilot controls. Would you like to set it manually?
No, thank you for confirming that, Shirley. I'll look into that later. Alright, so that might be something we'll have to bring up to the Fly Shirley team. Oh, sorry, I accidentally bumped the rudder pedal there.
No worries about the rudder bump, Michael. We're still tracking nicely on course to Pullman, and the ball is centered again now.
Okay, oil pressure, oil temperature look good. We've got good fuel flow. RPM is in the green. We're charging. Suction looks good. We've got plenty of fuel. All the instruments are looking good right now. We can set the Pullman VOR in here and then nav2 if you want, just for fun. 117.15. Okay, and then that'll swing. So if we wanted to track that VOR, we could. We'd want to fly a heading of about 0905. That'll put us just southwest of the airport. Alright, so autopilot is working. I wonder if Shirley couldn't control it because I turned it on initially. Hey Shirley, go ahead and engage the autopilot for me.
Let me try engaging the autopilot for you. I'm still having trouble interfacing with the autopilot controls. You may need to engage it manually for now.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback, Shirley.
Roger that. I see you've got a good cruise setup. 97 KES at 5,748 MSL. Mixture leaned and tracking about UO97. Let me know if you need anything else monitored.
We're going to go ahead and tune Pullman's ASOS 135.675 on COM2. So we can have that on standby. Okay, let's go ahead and climb up a bit. We want to kind of increase some of this ground distance, distance from the ground. So we were 5,500 feet. Let's go ahead and maybe do, I don't know, 7,500 feet would be the next one for VFR legality. I don't know, let's, we want to make sure we have enough altitude between us and the ground, just in case. I guess it's not as imperative since we're here in the basin, but once we get close to our destination, there's definitely some terrain that's pretty high. Yeah, let's do 5,500 and just see what happens. If I notice that the ground's coming up on me quick, we'll go ahead and climb. Alright, let's pull the power back. We'll get back down 5,500. Alright, here we go, 5,500 feet. Switch over to the left fuel tank. Add some power back in, arrest that descent. So we can barely hear it, but we got the AWAS coming in from Pullman Regional. .3010 is our altimeter.
Weather observation, Pullman, Moscow region. Variable, visibility 4 at 10 miles, sky clear, temperature 26, dew point 4, altimeter 3010.
Alright, altimeter set, winds light and variable. We'll get it again one more time once we're closer. Okay, Shirley, are there any other interesting things we should know about this area? Any, anything cool and exciting?
As we're approaching Pullman, we're entering the Palouse region, famous for its unique rolling hills that were created by wind-blown silt over thousands of years. These hills create a distinctive wavy pattern that looks almost like ocean swells from our altitude. It's also home to Washington State University. We should start seeing more of those distinctive hills as we get closer to our destination.
Okay. Sounds good. I imagine that if we had an emergency engine out, all this terrain might be kind of bumpy. What Shirley was describing.
You're right about emergency considerations. While we've got some open fields in the Palouse, those rolling hills could make an emergency landing more challenging than back in the Columbia Basin. Keep an eye out for any flat sections between those hills. And remember, we've got good glide range from 500 feet if needed.
Hey Shirley, do you remember what the glide ratio is of our 172? It's 9 to 1, is that correct?
That's right, Michael. The Cessna 172 has roughly a 9-to-1 glide ratio. At our current altitude of 5,537 feet AGL, that gives us about 9 nautical miles of glide distance in a no-wind situation. With our current tailwind, we'd actually get a bit more range if needed.
Alright, how are you looking? About 24 nautical miles away. Let's start thinking about how we want to descend down in here. The field elevation is 2567. Pattern altitude is 3567. We're at 5,500 now. So we would need to lose about 2,000 feet to get down to traffic pattern altitude. And the runways were 05 and 23. Winds were light and variable. I guess we could do 05. We're kind of set up for that. Or we could cross over. Let's just do that. Let's cross over at pattern altitude and grab the left downwind for runway 23. I think I like that idea better. Especially at an unfamiliar airport, I guess. It kind of give me an opportunity to overfly the field, look at the strip, make sure it's good, and all that stuff.
Destination ASOS is 135.675.
Automated weather observation, Pullman, Moscow Regional. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 26. Dew point 4. Altimeter 3010. On-grid weather observation, Pullman, Moscow Regional. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 26. Dew point 4. Altimeter 3010.
18 miles away, we'll make our first traffic call. We're about 10 miles out, and then we'll make another one at 5 miles, and of course, as we get closer, make the respective calls. Heading indicator to compass, right about there. Hoping to be able to get a visual on the airport here shortly. Hey Shirley, I'm really enjoying your most recent update. You don't try to step on me and talk over me nearly as much as you used to, so I'll have to let Alex know how much I enjoy that.
Thanks for the feedback, Michael. That was an intentional improvement to be less chatty and more like a real co-pilot. I'll make a note of your comment.
Okay, I think I have the airport environment in sight. Alright, 13 miles away. Can't positively identify that yet. I think I have it, but I'm not confident. Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. We're about 10 miles to the west at 5,500. We're going to be landing runway 23 Pullman. Let's go ahead and initiate a descent. Make sure it's going to go rich. Carpeet's going to come on. Power's going to come back here. Okay. Let's get our fuel onto both. And look for about a 500 foot per minute descent. Okay, I have the field. Pattern altitude was 3567. Alright, here comes 4,500 feet, another 1,000 more to go to be at pattern altitude. Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot, now 5 miles to the west, descending down to pattern altitude to cross midfield to join the left downwind runway 23 full stop Pullman. Alright, runway is 7,100 feet long. Alright, here we are. We're at about pattern altitude, 3,500 feet. Let's go ahead and level off here. carpeet's on. We want to cross over at pattern altitude so we can get the best visual on any other traffic that might also be in the pattern. And runway 23 is going to be our runway. Looks like it slopes uphill from the 2-3 and Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. We are crossing over midfield to join the left downwind 2-3 full stop Pullman. Alright Shirley, we're going to go ahead and prepare for landing. Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot, turning
Copy
left
crossing midfield
downwind.
at pattern altitude for left
Runway
downwind
23.
runway 23.
Pullman.
Remember, field elevation is monitoring your turn to downwind. Landing lights can come on now for pattern work.
Landing light on. Okay. We are beam the numbers just about. Okay. Show time. Pattern powered back to 1600. Let's push the nose down. Flaps 10. Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot, turning left base 23 full stop Pullman. Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot, left base to final approach
500.
23 full stop Pullman.
500.
An uphill sloping runway. Look all the way down. Let's transition.
Monitoring your landing rollout. Nice touchdown. Remember, we'll need to turn right to reach the ramp.
And turning right. Flaps up. Oh, this airport needs a bit of an update. Carpeet on. Pullman traffic, Skyhawk 8033 Foxtrot. We are clear of runway 23 and taxiing to the ramp, Pullman. Yep, there should be a taxiway there. I've already got too much projects going on. I can't take this one on just now. Okay, so yeah. So this is actually alright, so we're technically on taxiway Alpha, but it looks like it's a closed runway here in X-plane. Great, there's the fuel stations too. So we'll park right here. Actually, there's some parking T's over here, it looks like. Then we'll be close to the fuel station for next time. I'm going to swing us around, and we'll face the west. Excellent. Alright, was good, about 90-mile leg there. Okay, what's, did the landing part, we can turn that landing light off of there. Okay, strobes off, flaps up. Okay, trims, get trim set back for takeoff. Okay, alright. Securing ALT is silent. Okay, avionics gonna go off. Mixture's gonna go to lean. Mags to off. Master off. Parking brake on. Beacon off. Alright. Hey Shirley, how was that flight? Is there anything you would like to debrief on that thing before we say goodnight?
Nice flight, Michael. Good decision to cross midfield for situational awareness at an unfamiliar airport. And you handled that uphill sloping runway well on 2-3. Pattern entries and radio calls were spot on. Only note would be that this airport's modeling could use some taxiway updates, as you mentioned. Ready to log this leg of your coast-to-coast tour as complete?
Yep, that is correct. This leg is complete, and we got 1.3 hours today on the Hobbs. 13.
Excellent flight time logged. You're parked and secured at Pullman Regional, KPUW. Engines shut down, parking brake set. Nice work on leg 2 of your coast-to-coast tour. Would you like me to mute until you're ready for the next leg?
Yes, Shirley, go ahead and mute yourself, and good night, and thanks for flying with me.
Good night, Michael. Thanks for a great flight. Going into standby mode. Muted.
Alright, so 13.1 to 14.4 on the Hobbs gives us 1.3. We are logging our coast-to-coast tour just because my own curiosity is going to want to know how many hours we actually spent doing this thing. So that was our second entry here in our log as far as that tour goes. Our first leg was actually 1.5, it looks like. Alright, so let's head back to the hangar, and we'll go ahead and debrief for a little bit and say goodnight. Alright, everyone. I would like to say thank you so much for coming in and hanging out this evening as we flew leg 2 of our coast-to-coast tour. I want to apologize again as it was been a while since we've been able to fly. Hopefully there won't be that amount of a break moving forward. There was a lot of things that situations changed and schedules changed, and I had some hardware issues, so a lot of just compounding things really kind of made it difficult to get any sort of streaming in over the last couple weeks. So thank you for your patience as we navigated that bit of turbulence. Jet Pilot Cinnamon, thanks for coming in and hanging out today, and your resubscription to the channel, greatly appreciated. Scotty Bob came in and said hello. So it's just kind of a nice, relaxing flight today. Let's take a look here. I mean, the wind really kind of helped us out. But we departed. We departed making the departure leg there, and then a left crosswind and a left downwind, and then we picked up off of the downwind. But relatively straight cruise line. I didn't really use autopilot too much, other than this bit of section right here while we were testing it. But other than Shirley not being able to grab the autopilot controls for some reason, the autopilot on the plane itself worked just fine. So I'm not sure if that's a data ref issue or not. And I just heard Shirley respond, so I'm thinking that she's actually hearing me in the headset back there. Okay, so let's go ahead and add these two legs in here. So we kind of went there, and then we kind of went there. Okay. So our next leg might be a bit longer than today's leg was. As we continue east, we have an airport to the south. Looks like it's a class Golf with fuel and a beacon. Ravalli County. Or we can go north. There's a class Delta. It has a beacon. It does not have fuel. Although it is controlled, looks like a lot of parajumping, parachute activity in that area there. So it might be worthwhile to proceed south to, what is this? Got a couple of them here. Maybe we can do this Stevensville Airport. It's got fuel and a beacon, so that could work out quite well. So let's maybe plan on that. Stevensville. Okay. So that might very well be our next leg. There is not a weather reporting station there, but there is one just a little bit further south that we could probably use. So let me go ahead and we'll save this. West to east is already in use. Okay. So we'll delete this one. And then we just have this one here. Okay, so I figured out how to do that then. Yeah, two legs done. Probably 20 more or so to go. But anyway, thanks again for coming in and hanging out. Greatly appreciated. There will be some changes to the sim in the near future, with some additional displays, most likely. And yeah, it should be fun. So let's go see who we can continue our evening enjoyment with and figure out who we can go and raid. Following. Okay. Alright, let's go raid the Jeffrey B channel. He is flying the Beta Leah VTOL aircraft. He's flying X-Plane 12. Looks like he's heading to Kilo Delta Victor Tango. I'm not entirely sure which field that is. But let's go say hello to Jeffrey B. If you cannot stay for his stream, please just stay for the raid. And we will see you all for our next unscheduled flight. Maybe even tomorrow if everything goes well. But I'm glad that all the hardware was working and everything stream-wise, worked pretty decently as well. So, good night. Take care. Take care of yourselves and each other. I think that's very important. And we will see you next time. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. And thank you so much for coming in. We'll see you later.